I've been talking about mental health on my YouTube videos and on my podcast, basically on the internet for like a while now. And I don't remember it being like a conscious choice, but it's just something that I've always done when I first like started posting online, and I've for sure been judged for it. I'm sure people laugh or like cringe behind my back, but I've never wanted to portray a perfect existence because I don't have a perfect life and I'm definitely not perfect too. So, to be honest, I think it's just who I am by nature because I am someone who likes to dissect how I feel. Like, if I'm feeling sad, I try and understand why, or if I'm feeling really tired, I try and figure out why. I just have always been someone who likes to understand myself. And when I was a kid, I would journal my thoughts a lot and how I would feel. So, like, documenting that almost made me understand myself so much better. And I'm not necessarily like normally someone that would go out and openly share my struggles with just like anyone in real life. I've pretty much like closed myself off in that type of way unless I feel comfortable with you. And I think it's because I've been so betrayed by people previously in my life. So I literally struggle to trust people, which definitely sucks because that means that I struggle forming real like relationships and friendships a lot of the time because I don't feel I can actually be vulnerable with just anyone. And even in relationships, it's really hard trusting a guy. So I end up keeping a lot to myself and dealing with a lot of things internally until I like simply can't, and then I need to reach out to a friend or a parent. But you know, sometimes it's just easier to like deal with my stuff by myself, and it sucks and it's lonely sometimes, but it is what it is. And I know a lot of people don't feel comfortable sharing how they feel or like sharing their struggles online, and you would think sharing your struggles on the internet would be like more scary, but I've just been very comfortable to do it because I guess you aren't like talking directly to someone face to face. You're not like bearing your soul to like someone right in front of you. You are like speaking to a camera and like talking to an audience or whatever. So it feels less scary, in my opinion. And YouTube for me, I've spoken about this before, but it's been such a good positive thing in my life. Like, I can't even explain it because it's just given me such comfort. It's given me purpose. It's given me something positive to do. And when I do see those like few comments from people who like enjoy the videos or like things that I say, it's very uplifting for me because sometimes you don't get to hear that face to face from someone. So to see that it actually does impact people's lives in like a positive way, it like gives me a little bit of a boost to keep going. And it's really fun. So yeah, it's been such a positive thing for me. I've become so hyper aware, okay, about the conversation about mental health on the internet. So in this episode, I want to talk about the negative aspects of consuming the internet and also how deleting TikTok and removing it from my life actually helped me so much, guys. And I'm going to explain why. When you think about the evolution of mental health in society, I think about how our parents or grandparents dealt with mental health back before social media and also before like the conversation of mental health was even a thing. Like, I feel like if someone was sad or depressed or had anxiety, I feel like that generation would most likely deal with it more privately and sort of like push it aside or be a bit tougher on themselves. Whereas now I feel like things are a bit more accepting, especially online. But there are people who also don't believe in mental health issues and like to each their own, you know, where they are like, just get over yourself. Like what you're feeling isn't real. That's not real. And that's just something we will always have in life. And it is what it is. Okay. Struggling with your mental health can for sure be very isolating because when you are around people and they seem perfect and happy and they're like living their best life and you just feel so different to them. Okay, you feel what you feel and it makes you feel alone and it makes you question your worth. It makes you question, you know, is there something wrong with me? Because why can't I be happy like those people? But you're in this like immense pain in your brain and something is just like affecting you. And you can feel so alone in those moments because when you look around and you see that everyone around you is clearly doing fine and you're just struggling and you have like no one to relate to. That's why I feel like the conversation about mental health on the internet is so important, because when you can't relate to anyone in your real life regarding what you were struggling with, you can literally just go online and there are tons of people who are struggling and who may be struggling with the same thing. And you can like watch a video where they are explaining how they feel, how they overcame it. Or you can listen to a podcast or see someone share their struggles and express how they're feeling in a caption on Instagram. And you can find comfort in a way, because seeing that other people are also dealing with mental health issues, it kind of makes you feel less alone, and that you're not like broken, that you're not so different from like the rest of society. Like I've struggled so badly with my mental health and it's hard. You know, I'm someone who uses laughter as a way to like cope sometimes with life, because when I'm happy, I laugh, but when I'm uncomfortable, I also laugh. It's just something that I use to sort of make things seem better than they are sometimes. And I've had moments when I feel amazing for like a week, and then at the drop of a moment, I'm laying on my bed crying and I'm just not feeling my best, and really like putting myself down and listing all of the things about myself that only make me feel so much worse. And it's like I'm just crying, and I know they say that, you know, letting your emotions flow is so important and you'll feel better afterwards. And I agree about that to an extent, because sometimes you do feel like you need a good cry and then you feel amazing afterwards. But most times it just doesn't, okay? It puts you in a really low vibration mode where you just sort of like lay in your sadness and you're crying and you just question life, and things start to get really dark and the bad thoughts come in, and it's terrible. Struggling with mental health is terrible, and I'm being honest because sometimes it's really fabricated online and tied up in like a little beautiful bow. And I'm being honest because sometimes it's good to share certain things about your experience, because you don't know who could relate, okay? And I get it, okay? No one wants to hear someone like talking about like super heavy topics all the time, and it's everyone kind of like has their own stuff to deal with at the same time. But I just know that I never want to be someone that pretends online that I have it all figured out or that I'm perfect, because I'm far from it. You can feel reassured about your mental health struggle when you see people online pushing through theirs and succeeding. And it removes the stigma, it removes the judgment around mental health, and it provides education. There is so much education and information now about various mental health struggles, so we can learn a bit more about how to sort of take care of our minds and our brains so much better. So the more that we love and the more that we accept ourselves, the better. I think that because of the whole conversation around mental health online, whether you struggle mentally or not, there is this general education around it, which provides more awareness, which is good. And that is helpful because you are able to understand how someone who is struggling may be feeling. Or maybe one day you like wake up and you start noticing certain emotions, or you go through something really hard in life and you start feeling down and you aren't really sure why. And you have this like ability to like notice certain traits about how you're feeling, and you can kind of identify how you feel a bit easier now in order to actually deal with it, whether that is seeking therapy or practicing self-soothing methods. You now have this education available to you and can make the best decision for yourself because it is so accessible. So if you have an understanding about what you're going through and you can share that with your loved ones, then they can also have some context about why you are acting the way you're acting, why you feel the way you do, and they can better understand you instead of just like simply cutting people off because you're in like a really bad space right now. And this is something that I had to learn myself because I suck at communicating my honest feelings sometimes. I'm like an onion, okay? This sounds so weird, but like just bear with me. It takes me a few tries before actually being able to express my true feelings or like my true emotions with people that I care about. And it's probably confusing for them. And I try and explain my thought pattern, but communicating how I'm doing and what I really mean is honestly like a journey that I'm constantly trying to navigate through, okay? And it sort of comes from the side of myself that has always wanted to fit in and be liked and please people. And I don't want to hurt people's feelings or like say something wrong or cause weird vibes. And sometimes you have to like express how you feel, and it may not be what someone wants to hear. It may make you feel uncomfortable, but rather be honest. So basically, by communicating to your loved ones about how you're feeling, it allows them to not take things so personally. It helps them to better understand your journey that you're on and also how you're feeling. And they care about you, so I feel like if you have people in your life who actually genuinely want to help you and are there for you, then seek guidance from them and seek help from them. You're not alone. So 6 months ago, I decided to log out of my personal TikTok, delete the app, and start detoxing my mind from all of that stimulation. I currently work in social media, so I'm not completely off the app. I no longer use my personal account anymore. But for work purposes, obviously like posting content on there is like a thing. But I actually don't really use TikTok that much anymore, and I don't really scroll the feed at all. And it's honestly been a game changer for me, guys. And I've recommended this method to other people because I was struggling so badly when it came to my mental health, my self-esteem, and my confidence. And I found myself in the comparison trap. I know, okay, the comparison trap. And it was just not good for my brain. I just don't think it's healthy to be able to scroll through like tons and tons of short form content at such a fast speed. So I'd basically spend like hours of my day scrolling on this app. And for me, once I was done scrolling, I didn't feel the effect immediately. I started seeing it over time, where I like started comparing my life to everyone else, and I started analyzing my face structure and my body and the clothes that I wore, and it became this like negative cycle of putting myself down, where my self-worth was literally on the floor, okay? And for me, when I'm on my actual phone too much, I feel that it negatively impacts my entire life. And when my mind isn't right, I don't function properly at all. It like sucks you in, and then you are like focused on everyone else and you forget about your life, and you start kind of losing sight of your own goals. And when it comes to social media, you don't know what's real and what's not real. You see a glimpse into someone's life and you assume that's so perfect. So for me, YouTube is like the only platform I actually enjoy. Like I used to love TikTok because I love looking at the skincare videos, the clothing hauls. I like watching just like all of those types of like fashion and beauty content. I love it. Okay. And I would scroll for days. And I just love looking at like Hailey Bieber's TikToks. I'm a girl, it is what it is. But I just found that you start overly comparing yourself and your life to other people. And it's just not healthy, okay? It's not a good place to be mentally. So I have a love-hate relationship with Instagram because it's also pretty toxic for me. Like I honestly wish I was like most people, where you're able to like casually use these apps and scroll and watch the reels and the videos and see the content and like everything, and it's just a fun experience for you. Okay, I'm just one of those people where it's not a fun experience. It's fun in the moment, but then subconsciously later, it's just not a good place for me. So I have a love-hate relationship with it. So now basically, if I post, I'll just post on it and then I'll get off. I'm not going to be like scrolling for hours anymore. It's just not my thing. Like I'm just not on the vibe of like putting myself down anymore and feeling terrible about myself. Okay, that's just like not my vibe. So you kind of have to choose things in your life that is rather gonna make you happy than like wasting hours of your day just scrolling. The reason why I decided to initially take a break from TikTok was that I was becoming depressed more frequently. And like I mentioned before, I'm very self-aware, okay? And sometimes that's not a good thing. And I started noticing that I was feeling really depressed like more frequently within a shorter period of time. And then I started taking inventory of my life and different things and like how is this affecting me and all of that type of stuff. So I started realizing that spending all of my time on my phone and using all of my time basically to like scroll on TikTok, for example, was not good for my brain. And I was so mentally exhausted in a way and like so unmotivated that I wouldn't focus on my goals. And then I was wondering why I was feeling uninspired and feeling like I had no purpose. So it's just like a weird cycle, and it's a negative thing for me. And I'm just babbling on right now, so I apologize. But anyways, I was just like consumed by this app on a day-to-day basis, and I was neglecting my goals. I was avoiding reading, which is like one of the things in my life that really bring me joy. And I was comparing myself to other people, and it became unhealthy. It became toxic. It's hard explaining these types of things to like maybe the older generation because they didn't grow up with, you know, the internet or social media. And as a young person being, on these apps and using it for business and work or personal use, it for sure can affect you. And that's why so many people are suffering right now from depression and not feeling fulfilled, because we attach fulfillment and happiness to success. And success today means having designer clothes and an expensive car. And if you don't have those things, then like, who are you? Then you basically add no value to society. You aren't that cool and you haven't achieved anything good, right? That's basically what it means. And that's the reality that we live in. And obviously I don't believe that. That's not true, but that is what you are kind of like pushed to believe by consuming a lot of the content that we see on a day-to-day basis, whether we believe success means that or not. So trying to navigate living your real life and not attaching yourself to your online life is for sure a struggle. So I feel like for me, removing TikTok from my life has saved my mental health. And I highly recommend you try it, okay, if you are struggling mentally. Because when I speak to people and they're like, I feel so unhappy, or I feel unfulfilled, and I feel really depressed right now, and I'm not sure why, I usually ask them, how much time do you actually spend on your phone? Because that could literally be the reason why you feel the way you do. And I have to consciously tell myself that what I see online isn't always real, and that I am enough, and that I need to just focus on my own life and block everything else out. And it helps doing that. So if you find yourself not feeling that great and you're feeling really uninspired and unmotivated and borderline depressed, take inventory of the things in your life that are draining your energy and start focusing on using your time to do more things that add value to your life, because the internet isn't real, guys. Okay, so like, don't waste your life being consumed by it. And there's this viral trend right now that's called the let them method. Think about that. If you're laying on the couch currently, or in your car, or going for a walk, or laying on the beach right now, listening to this podcast, use the let them method to guide you through certain situations where you feel like you're not going to focus on things that you can't control anymore in your life. And you're not going to let those things consume you anymore and make you unhappy and stressed and overwhelmed. You're going to focus on what you can control, and you're going to try and make the most out of situations, and you're going to try and learn from those tough situations. And you're going to try and grow and be a better person every day. And that's the only thing you can do. So as always, I love hanging out with you guys every week. So like, take it easy, chill out, and I will see you guys next week, Sunday. If you are watching on YouTube, like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, click that follow button or that subscribe button and rate the show. It really does make a difference. I've noticed that a lot of people are downloading the episodes but not actually rating it. Please rate, guys. It actually does make a difference and it will make me really happy. But anyways, have an amazing week, and I will see you guys on this couch next week, Sunday. Okay, so peace. I love you.